At first glance, how many lights do you think I'm using in this setup? I'll show you guys. First we got the key light. Does the majority of the job. Then we have a light back there. Then we have a whole bunch of small little lights. One here. One here. Two up here. And then one here. This one's actually a new one. It's called the Crack Light by Blind Spot. You can power it through USB, so that's kind of interesting. It's really strong. It's the little things that make a big difference. I think that's why I do this, or because I just felt like it. But one thing I do know is that B-roll is the quickest way to make or break your video. And recently we talked about solo B-roll, and you guys sent me a bunch of your videos, and it was really cool watching them. There was a lot of really great videos, but I did notice some very common mistakes, the same mistakes being repeated in the B-roll. So in doing my job as the B-roll police, I'm gonna try to fix some of those mistakes or give you guys some insight on those mistakes. Here are our 5 mistakes that I see people make all the time in B-roll. The first one being not shooting enough. It's actually really rare to have too much B-roll. B-roll is one of those things where you go to edit, almost always you end up using pretty much all of the B-roll, or you notice that I don't have enough B-roll. I wish I had a little bit more. And how do I know that you're running out of B-roll? Well, it's when you start using a shot that's very similar to another shot. It's kind of like when you're trying out different shots, different framing, but kind of from the same spot, same angle. It's using all of that footage when you really should be just using one in your B-roll because you're running out. In order to have enough B-roll footage, you want to think about all the different ways that you can illustrate what the point of the video is or what's being said, showing and illustrating the points instead of just having them being told through audio. And in order to do this properly, you're gonna need to leave a lot of time when you're filming to shoot that B-roll. It really quickly and often gets forgotten about, and you kind of just rush to get a few shots. Let me just get some B-roll real quick, and you just don't end up getting enough. So make sure you're scheduling in a nice chunk of time to just get some good B-roll to illustrate your points. In this case, less is not more, so make sure you're filming a lot of B-roll. Number 2, I find a lot of people just don't get creative enough. It kind of just boils down to whatever is the most obvious. For example, if you're talking about coffee in your video, you just film yourself or whoever's talking making coffee in the most basic and generic way. Instead, you could go out and film a whole bunch of different coffee shops, or you could film your main character going into a coffee shop and hanging out with friends instead of just making coffee, which is the most obvious thing when you're talking about coffee. Or if you're gonna do that, then do it in a totally different way. For example, do it in a microscopic level, do really crazy macro shots. And remember, you don't need to film everything on that same day. You could film just a few shots with your character, and then you could go home and film for hours of different little close-ups of coffee and just mix those all in. Nobody's gonna notice. Movie magic. So don't be scared to get creative with your B-roll. Number 3, and I see this mistake being made all the time, it's inconsistent direction of movement. Half of you are probably like, I don't know what the heck he's talking about. What I mean is, let's say you have somebody walking down the street, you gotta keep that same direction going. So let's say that person is walking to a restaurant and he's walking from left to right in the frame. Then when they're going into the restaurant, you don't want them going from right to left into the restaurant. You want them to be going that same direction, keeping that same direction going. Unless they're leaving the restaurant, then it's a good thing to change the direction so then the viewers know that, okay, they're going back to home or back to wherever they came from. Keep that same direction going, otherwise there's a weird thing that happens in the brain and you start getting confused, and then once you get confused, you lose interest. Brain's a pretty weird thing. And also do the same thing with camera movement. So if you have, let's say, an orbiting shot going around, make sure to continue that movement in your next shot if there is movement in it. So for example, if you want to do a wide orbit and then a close-up, make sure you're going around the same direction. Don't change the direction of the movement in between shots. Again, it's gonna be really jarring and weird for the brain. And pro tip here is to film both directions of movement so you're not being forced to break that movement in between your shots. Number 4 is no sequence. You don't want just these random clips from random things. You want a few shots in that same spot. I never or very rarely will film just one clip from a specific location. I'll try to do at least 3 to 5 different clips so I can make a nice sequence out of it. Let's say I'm going out one wheeling from one location to another. I'm not gonna just film one shot of me on the one wheel. I'm gonna film one of me getting on the one wheel, one of the board as I'm riding, maybe one of my face, a wide shot, and then a shot of me getting off. So I have a whole bunch of clips in that sequence so I can tell that story, and I have a variety of B-roll clips to use. Remember that the point of B-roll is to illustrate the points of your video. So if you're not telling story through your B-roll is basically just pretty pictures with no point to it, which is still better than no B-roll, but it's not the best use of B-roll. And number 5, this one's probably the most classic mistake people do with B-roll, and it's not having your B-roll be focused enough. For example, if you're doing a wide shot, your eyes should immediately be able to see what you should be focusing in on, your subject or the object that you're filming. You want your B-roll to be focused in, really focused in on the thing that your audience should be looking at. If it's a person, it should be really obvious which person you should be looking at. If it's a car, you should know the car that you should be looking at. Your eyes shouldn't have to be playing Where's Waldo, trying to figure out what am I supposed to be looking at in this frame. With B-roll, it should literally take like a millisecond for your eyes to know what they should be looking at. And how do you make it more focused? Well, there's a bunch of different ways. It's basically all of filmmaking, but some of the easy ways are depth of field. You can use colors, kind of contrasting colors to make things pop. You can use lighting, framing, leading lines. There's so many different ways to make something stand out in your footage. And again, if you're watching a video and you see B-roll and you don't really know what to look at, your brain's gonna get confused, your brain's gonna get bored, you're gonna lose the audience's attention, and therefore your video is not gonna be as good as it could be. Your B-roll should always be illustrating, telling story if possible. But these are really some of the most common mistakes that I see being made all the time, and they're actually really easy to fix. It doesn't take very much to fix these mistakes. You just need to be aware of them so that you can plan and work hard to not make these mistakes. I really love it when you can just make some small little tweaks and your video can turn out way better. And again, doesn't cost you a single penny. Those are always the best tips and tricks, I think. The ones that cost you no money, because yeah, none of us have extra money lying around. All right, I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you enjoyed these top 5 B-roll mistakes that I see being made all the time. I'm sure you guys see them being made also. Learn from them, don't make them, and yeah, learn, make, repeat, and enjoy the filmmaking process. I think I used to like say that as a tagline almost. I should probably bring that back or something. It's a good one. You know what the worst part about having so many different lights? Having to charge them all. Okay, I'm gonna go charge them all so I can film the next video then. Bye guys.